Maybe you know. Science meets the questions you never thought to ask. In 1668, a French priest named Edmé Marriott stood before King Louis XIV holding a sword. The king closed one eye. Marriott slid the sword's tip slowly across his view. And then, for one strange instant, the sword vanished. The king was looking straight at it, but it was gone. Marriott had just proven something nobody believed possible. There's a hole in your eye, a blind spot the size of a fist held at arm's length. And right now, your brain is hiding it from you. You think your eyes are cameras. Photons hit your retina, signals zip up the optic nerve, and your brain plays back the movie. That's the story most of us grew up with. It's also wrong. Wrong in ways that are about to make you stop trusting your own eyes. Start with the basic numbers. Your retina captures roughly 10 million bits of information every second. Your conscious mind can process about 40. That's a compression ratio of 250,000 to 1. Whatever reaches your awareness has been edited, summarized, and rewritten. By the time you see your coffee cup this morning, the photons that bounced off it are already gone. Long gone. They were processed almost a fifth of a second ago. So what you experience as now is actually a prediction your brain made about what should be there, based on partial evidence and a lot of guessing. Hermann von Helmholtz, the German physicist, figured this out in 1867. He called the process unconscious inference. His idea was so strange that it took 150 years for neuroscience to catch up. But once it did, the picture that emerged was almost impossible to accept. You don't see the world. You see your brain's best guess about it. Fast forward to 2017. Neuroscientist Anil Seth walks onto a TED stage in Vancouver and tells 18 million people something they were not ready to hear. We're all hallucinating all the time, he says. It's just that when we agree about our hallucinations, we call that reality. Seth runs the Sackler Center for Consciousness Science at the University of Sussex. For 2 decades, he has been gathering evidence for a theory that sounds like science fiction. Your brain is not a passive receiver. It is a prediction machine, a neural device that constantly invents the world a few hundred milliseconds before it arrives. Then it checks if reality matches the invention. The technical name is predictive processing. Carl Friston at University College London wrote the math for it in 2005, calling it the free energy principle. Friston's papers are so dense that other neuroscientists half-jokingly call them unreadable. But the central claim is simple. The brain hates surprise, so it prepares for everything in advance. Every shadow on the floor, every face in a crowd, every word in a sentence. Your brain has already drafted them. You only ever notice the parts where the draft was wrong. Imagine you're a manager running an enormous office tower, 20 floors, thousands of employees. You can't possibly track everything happening on every floor. So you set up a rule. The lower floors only call upstairs when something doesn't match expectations. If everything is going to plan, silence. If something is wrong, a fire, a missing report, a stranger in the lobby, only then does a message climb the building. That, roughly, is how your visual system works. Your eyes in lower visual areas don't send the boss a continuous stream of pictures. They send what neuroscientists call prediction errors. The boss, your higher cortex, has already drafted a memo about what should be in a room. The lower floors only flag the differences. This is why optical illusions work. They feed your brain a scene where the prediction is wrong, but the error signal gets suppressed because the prediction is so confident. The famous checker shadow illusion, designed by Edward Adelson at MIT in 1995, shows 2 squares that look like completely different shades of gray. They are identical. Your brain refuses to believe it, even after you measure the pixels. That refusal is the prediction winning over the data. Here's where it gets strange. If you opened up the visual cortex of a living human and counted the connections, you'd find something almost nobody outside neuroscience knows. The signals coming up from your eyes are not the majority. They're the minority. Studies tracing neural pathways in the cat and macaque visual cortex, and confirmed in human MRI by labs at MIT and the Max Planck Institute, show that something between 70 and 90% of the input to your primary visual cortex, V1, comes from somewhere else inside your brain, not from your eyes. Read that again. The eyes are providing a small fraction of what you see. The rest is descending feedback from higher cortical regions. Memory, expectation, context, language, mood, all of it pouring down into the visual stream, sculpting the image before you become aware of it. Which means the moment you look at your hand right now, the experience you are having is not a recording. It is a construction, a controlled hallucination, to use Anil Seth's phrase, that happens to line up, most of the time, with whatever physical light is actually entering your pupils. Most of the time. Not always. In 2009, a psychiatrist at Hanover Medical School named Denai Dima ran a simple experiment. She showed 16 patients with schizophrenia a video called the hollow mask illusion. It's a famous trick. A face mask, lit from behind, rotates slowly. When the hollow side comes around, your brain refuses to see it as concave. It looks convex. A normal face. Healthy participants almost always fall for it, about 99% of the time, across hundreds of studies. But the patients with schizophrenia did not. Most of them saw the hollow side as hollow. They saw what was actually there. For decades, this looked like a curiosity. Why would the people we called delusional be better at perceiving reality? Dima's brain scans gave the answer. In healthy brains, the higher visual areas were sending strong top-down signals. The prediction, this is a face, that overrode the raw input. In the patients, those signals were weaker. Their predictions weren't winning. The eyes were. So in one quiet lab in Germany, you could see the architecture of perception laid bare. Vision is a negotiation. And sometimes, the price of seeing raw reality clearly is the rest of your reality coming apart. And just when you think the rules are settled, the internet broke them. February 26, 2015. A Scottish woman named Cecilia Bleasdale photographed a dress she planned to wear to her daughter's wedding. The picture went up on Tumblr. Within 72 hours, more than 30 million people were arguing. Was the dress white and gold or blue and black? Couples nearly broke up over it. Celebrities tweeted. Taylor Swift saw black and blue. Kim Kardashian saw white and gold. Same screen. Same pixels. Completely different colors. Pascal Wallish, a neuroscientist at New York University, published a study in 2017 with 13,000 participants and traced the answer. People who spend more time in daylight assumed the dress was lit by sunlight, so their brains subtracted the warm tint and saw blue and black. Night owls assumed indoor light, subtracted yellow, and saw white and gold. The pixels never changed. The priors did. Stop and feel that for a second. Two people can stand in front of the same object with the same eyes and the same brains and see physically different colors because their lifetime of light exposure has built different prediction models. Reality, it turns out, is partly written by autobiography. This is happening to you right now. As you watch this screen, your visual cortex is running a constant simulation. Every blink, and you blink about 15 times a minute, your brain fills in the missing 50 milliseconds with predicted footage. You never see the gap. The blind spot from Marriott's experiment? It's still there. You're staring through it as we speak. Your brain has filled it in with whatever pattern is around it. A textured wall stays textured. A face stays continuous. Vision, which feels seamless, is stitched together from raw fabric and neural improvisation. The same machinery explains why a fever dream feels real. Why you see faces in burnt toast. Why eyewitnesses to crimes invent details with full confidence. Why people with macular degeneration develop something called Charles Bonnet syndrome, where they see vivid hallucinations of children and animals. Because when the eyes stop sending data, the prediction engine doesn't shut off. It just runs unsupervised. Even the simplest moment, your hand reaching for a coffee cup, is a forecast. Your brain placed the cup in space before your eyes confirmed it. You're not living in the present. You're living in your brain's best guess about what the present probably is. 357 years after Edmund Marriott slid a sword across a king's field of view, we're still discovering the consequences of what he found. The hole in the eye was just the beginning. The real hole, it turns out, is everywhere. In every glance, every face, every color you've ever loved. Your brain has been quietly drawing over the world your entire life, filling in, smoothing out, inventing what it expects to be there. The sword vanished because no light was reaching the optic disc. But almost everything you see is doing the same thing. Vanishing, then being painted back in by an organ that has never once seen the world directly. A king once watched a sword disappear. You are watching everything disappear. You just don't know it yet. If you want to feel even less sure of your senses, wait until you learn what your brain does to time. There's a delay between when something happens and when you experience it, and your brain hides it by editing your memory of the moment. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Next week, we go inside the half-second your mind is hiding from you. The strangest illusion of all is the one that feels most real. Thanks for watching. If this sparked a question, drop in the comments. It might be our next video. We'll see you next time.